Yo guys, welcome back to the Uncle Sharma channel. Here we are once again for a special preview episode. You might remember this guy. He joined me at the start of the season for the first match of the season, Inter-Fiorentina, and he's back again. My guy Tito, what's up, man?
Doing all right. How are you, Sharma?
Not too bad, not too bad. Thank you for joining me and once again previewing Inter versus Fiorentina in the Coppa Italia this time around, not in the Serie A. It seems like Inter managed to find Fiorentina in the Coppa Italia a few times. It's been over the last few years. We seem to get you guys quite a lot, don't we?
Yeah, second year in a row, and I think there was another one, 4 or 5 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's great.
I mean, they're always. I find like the Inter Fiorentina match is always quite fun. They're never a dull affair from a memory. I might be wrong, one or two matches here and there, but the runs I remember have always been well fought, good, entertaining. Especially if you're a neutral, they've been entertaining, but not maybe for us as fans. But even the 4-3 from the beginning of the season, we said it was going to be high scoring affair. What did you make of that? I didn't get to speak to you after that, actually.
That was very frustrating, obviously, if you're a Fiorentina fan, to go in winning until the 87th minute, and then have a 20-year-old just make a couple of huge mistakes and let 3 points get away.
Who was it?
Vlahovic. It was Vlahovic.
Yeah.
He turned off on the D'Ambrosio goal on the back post, had him marked, and just let D'Ambrosio jump all over him despite being a lot bigger. And then missed a great chance right in stoppage time before the winner. So that was frustrating, but also when Inter can bring Hakimi and Vidal and Nainggolan, I don't remember who all came on as subs in that game, and for Fiorentina it was Borja Valero and I think maybe Ricky Saponara. It's like those are very different teams, so you can't be too mad.
Yeah. No, it was a good match. You guys gave it. Yeah, you took the lead. Chiesa scored that nice goal, and now he's gone. So it's going to be a different look Fiorentina team. What do you make of the whole Chiesa situation?
I don't think it was handled particularly well by anyone. I understand his desire to leave. That's perfectly fair. He'd been at Fiorentina for his entire career, and they had failed to put anything resembling a quality team around him. So I get why he would want out. That makes sense. I think that the way he handled it showed a real lack of maturity. Never once thanked the fans or the city, despite having been there his whole life. I thought that was he fired a couple of shots through the press at him. But on the other hand, some of the fans got on Instagram and said some truly despicable things to his younger brother, who's in the Fiorentina academy and is 14 or 15, and you could also see why Federico in that case would be pretty upset with the whole supporter base, and so it's just an ugly situation for everyone to me.
Yeah, but you got some nice money for him. Was it like 50-60 million?
Yeah, spread out over 3 years. Yeah, so not actually nearly as helpful as it could have been, but there we are.
Yeah, I don't think he's worth that much, but I mean, I like him, but I don't think he's worth a 50-60 million player. But I don't know. It looks like commisso I've been told is the proper way to say the Calabrian way of saying it. He's had a bit of a hit and miss start to his presidential term, hasn't he? Like he's speaking, he's talking the talk, but he hasn't really walked the walk as of yet. And your results, we were talking at the start of the season, we were talking about how you've got this midfield, a very exciting midfield, and this team in general, it looks really good on paper, but it's not really worked out this season, has it? I've seen that defensively you actually got quite good numbers. I think you've only conceded like one more goal compared to Inter. You're up there in the form table, but when I've seen your goals, you're right at the bottom, which I was unexpected. I mean, you've got the likes of Ribery, Vlahovic, Kwame. On paper, to me, Bonaventura from midfield, these are like, attacking players that should be providing attacking threat. So what's going on there?
Oh, well, that's the billion lira question, isn't it? I think the real issue to me is that Fiorentina knew going in they were relying on 3 very young strikers and hoping that one of them would hit between Vlahovic, Guame, and Cutrone, which not a terrible gamble if you're a team with Fiorentina's financial setup. You can't sink huge resources into every spot on the field, unfortunately. So for me, it was a good gamble to make. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out to start with. Vlahovic has been coming on like crazy over the past few games. I think he's scored in 5 out of the last 6, which is fine. We'll take that. 2, he's been also hitting a lot from the penalty spot, 3 penalties in that time, but he won 2 of them himself as well, so there's that too. Ribéry, for as good as he is, has never really been a prolific scorer. Bonaventura, same. I think the most he ever hit in a league season in his Milan career was what, 3 goals, 4 goals? He's never
Really?
Yeah, he's never scored that much. Castrovilli, same thing. I mean, he's already doubled his scoring output from last year, but when you only score a couple, it's not that hard to do. Kouame can't get on the field for reasons that nobody seems to be able to understand. Callejon finally starting to figure it out, but still doesn't look very comfortable in the setup. Cutrone's already gone. Amrabat, not a goal threat from midfield at all. Pulgar, not a goal threat from midfield. Alfred Duncan maybe still plays for the team. Who knows? So yeah, it's a setup that doesn't quite work for me. But
yeah, it seems like similar thing. Like it was almost like a thing. You talked about those substitutes that Inter made against the Fiorentina, but everyone started talking about this. Inter having this crazy depth, but it never really quite worked out in the season. Nainggolan is basically like he wasn't even part of Inter squad, or Conte didn't rate him. Pinamonti, clearly Conte doesn't rate him. Erickson, we know Conte clearly does not rate him. Vidal, he's clearly a little bit, on the downward trend, and his decision making, it is what it is. Vecino's been injured, so yeah, similarly to you guys, it's kind of like that. On paper, it looked all good, but then it hasn't really worked out on the field.
But still, only 3 points off the top spot, so it's not as bad as it could be, right?
Right, so we'll get into the predicted lineups for the match tomorrow. I'll start off with Inter, if you don't mind, Tito, then we can go into Fiorentina and you can tell me what you guys are expecting. So Antonio Conte pretty much confirmed after the Roma game that there will be a lot of changes, and it looks like here the Sky Sports predicting a pretty big changes in the lineup. Pretty much 90% of the team is changing.
Yeah.
Skriniar looks like the one. Skriniar and Martinez and Vidal are the ones that are maintaining their starting spot from the Roma match. Definitely Bastoni's needed some rest recently. He's looked a bit leggy. De Vrij, we know he's, at Inter he's been kind of fine, but over the years at Lazio he was a pretty injury prone player, and I think he does need some rest. But obviously Skriniar, with D'Ambrosio's injury, kind of has to play. We don't really have anyone in that position now. Handanovic starting is the one that's kind of confusing to me, because it looks like he's going to be starting, and this was going to be the chance to see Andre Radu. Everyone's been calling out for Andre Radu to get a chance even in the league, but I would think the Coppa Italia would be the best chance possible for Andre Radu to get some minutes, which is confusing me. He's I'm not saying he's the long-term answer for Inter for sure. I've seen him at Genoa. He was decent. He looks like a athletic shot stopper, but surely Handanovic's form warrants at least someone getting a chance. What do you think of that, Tito, of Handanovic?
That was my thought exactly. I mean, I can't imagine a better time to put Radu in, especially against a Fiorentina team that doesn't really score goals, at least to boost his confidence some. I guess it's really surprising to me too, given Conte's reputation for loving young players and really trying to bring them into the team, and not relying on guys who are over 30 to play every single minute, and that he's always been like that through his career. But Yeah, that's I don't get that, but again, I haven't ever won a Scudetto, so it's not like I can really question it that much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, looking at that lineup, that looks like a good team to me. I think that the combination of Sanchez and Martinez up top is obviously really tricky, although I would honestly rather see that this week. Herman Petzela, the Fiorentina captain who plays in the middle of their back three, picked up what looked like a hamstring injury against Cagliari and had to leave in the first half. And he's very good in the air. The man who's likely to replace him, Lucas Martinez Cuarta, very good player, young, 24, Argentina international, but he's not nearly as good in the air. He's much more of a technical, proactive player than a sweeper. And so having Lukaku up against him made me very nervous. But I would assume that's the second half sub if Inter need a goal.
Yeah, desperation. And
yeah,
I quite like the Sanchez Martinez combination like that. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, those two false nines. They'll be kind of roaming around, not really having a point of reference. So I quite enjoy when they play together. It didn't quite work out against Sampdoria, but it has worked out in the past. And I don't think you guys will be as defensive as Sampdoria were. What do you think in terms of your? I haven't really seen you guys on the Prandelli apart from the Juventus match.
That's how they play every week, really. It's not. Fiorentina like to keep the ball a lot more than they did under Iachini. Yet not saying much, right?
Yeah.
A lot more comfortable passing around the back. Igor, who plays on the left of the back three, has shown a really impressive propensity for hitting these long balls through the channels for the strikers. So I think that is something to definitely watch. I think Fiorentina are likely to target that space between Ranocchia and Kolarov and really try to work Vlahovic in there.
Yeah, that's probably the weakness in the team, if there is one there. Perisic, Kolarov, Ranocchia, that kind of side.
Yeah.
If I was a coach, I would definitely try to target that.
Especially
Perisic, Sorry, continue.
Oh no, go.
Perisic is not even the wing back. Kolarov is very defensively susceptible. And Ranocchia, I think, he looks good when everyone else around him is good. But if someone's shaky next to him, he's gonna be back to the old levels. So.
And I think that Fiorentina are really gonna look for space in behind and between those two. So I think that seeing if he can actually run is going to be definitely something we see a lot of.
Who's going to be on that right side? Is it going to be Callejon or?
That's the real question for me. Is if Prandelli wants to use Callejon again with the game against Napoli coming up, you'd have to think that Callejon really wants to start in that one, and he's old enough now to where he probably wants the extra rest there. I mean, he's not as old as Ribery, but he's 33 and playing. 3 games in a week is punishing. So the real question then is, if you use Callejon, and then Castrovilli will be back. So do you go for more of a 3-4-2-1, which is what we saw against Cagliari, and which to me looked very good? But I don't think that's likely. Eric Pulgar not even in the squad that's been called up for this one, which means that Sofian Amrabat is going to probably play that holding role with Borja Valero in midfield with him, which is obviously going to be very exciting for everyone involved.
The two boldies.
Oh, God. It's terrible to watch on a laptop screen because you half the time can't tell which one is which.
Remember there was that picture from last season where they went head to head with each other.
Oh yeah,
it's like the two twins.
It's like going to the grocery store and getting a crate full of eggs. I really wanted Fiorentina to have a midfield with Amrabat, Valero, and Riccardo Saponara at some point this year, so it would just be 3 very, very bald men. But unfortunately, it didn't come together.
Yeah, wow, that would have been very shiny.
Right. Yeah, just magnificent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be Valero in midfield along with Amrabat and probably Castrovilli, with Bonaventura maybe coming in. Again, I don't think that Alfred Duncan is going to play. He hasn't played at all in months, and it sounds like he's probably on his way out of the team.
That's confusing.
Real shame.
I thought he was a pretty good player.
I think you and pretty much everyone else who's watched Serie A for the past few years outside of Daniele Prade, I can't figure it out.
It's a club decision then, not a coach decision.
Very much, yeah. It's what it seems like. Seems like to me, at least. So yeah, the question then, since Fiorentina don't have enough strikers, since they've gotten rid of Cutrone, their only center forwards are Vlahovic and Kouame, who's also been locked out, plays the last 10 minutes of every game. And with Ribéry out, that means it's pretty much Vlahovic, Kouame, and Callejon. So I would guess, see one of them. You might see the full Montiel off the bench, which is really exciting. He's a really talented young player.
Okay.
But also kind of locked out, likely to go on loan. But whenever he's on the field, he makes things happen. Yeah, I think it's going to be about what we expect in terms of personnel and formation and all of that.
And on the left, is it going to be Biraghi?
That's another one I'm not sure about. We've seen Antonio Barreca come on in the Coppa a couple of times. He's not looked very good, if I'm being honest. Gave away a penalty in, I think, the 4th minute against God, who was that? Hellas Verona or Sassuolo. I don't actually remember which one right now. But he's been very underwhelming. It's a shock, that he's been bouncing around on loan from Monaco for half a decade now without finding a home. And
yeah, he's one of those players where he was like quite highly rated when he was younger, and then it's just never quite hit. He's never been quite hit anywhere, which is it ended up being one of those journeymen by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think so. But he might get in to give Biraghi a little bit of a break. I'd expect Lorenzo Venuti to start this one over Martin Cáceres at wingback as well on the other side, and that's probably it. Probably see some rotation, but not too much would be my guess.
Yeah, I'm guessing you guys would probably take this quite seriously. I think you haven't really got much to play for in the league, so
not getting relegated is definitely something. But, no, I agree. I mean, 4 wins away from playing in Europe is, I think, a gamble that a team like this has to take, especially when they've been pretty poor in Serie A. I mean, improving. I think 8 or 9 points from their last 5 league matches, which is fine. And they've started to look better too, not just in the results, but the way they're playing. They've created more chances. But yeah, I think they have to take the Coppa pretty seriously. Otherwise, it's just another wasted season.
Yeah, that's why I'm expecting quite a tricky match. But I hope Inter to kind of take it seriously. I know that lineup looks like, it's pretty much the second string, but I hope those players kind of, the likes of Sensi, likes of, Kolarov and the others who are like Alexis Sanchez, who are kind of, second string, try to, impress Conte. And obviously have to move on to the main guy that we kind of want to discuss here, which is Christian Eriksen. Antonio Conte has come out and said in the press conference that he's going to play tomorrow from the start, and he's going to play as a regista, as in that Brozovic role in the 3-5-2, which a lot of people have been calling out for him to play, which obviously technically he should be able to play in terms of, passing ability, technical ability. I said, he can play there in the past, but I would rather see him, as Conte said earlier on the season, that, you're kind of wasting him because he's got this shooting ability with either foot, finalization ability that you're kind of wasting deeper in. But if he's not going to play anywhere else, you might as well try him out here. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a player who's that talented and who you spent money on, you got to find a way to get something from him, right? I mean, right now it's just wasteful to me. I'm sure you don't feel the same at all, but yeah.
7.5 million in net wages are sitting on the bench. It's just in
Wild.
this pandemic is just completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
We've seen that it can happen, with some midfielders. Brozovic was I wouldn't say similar. He was he's always an all-around midfielder, but he had to be moved back to, find his real position. I guess Ever Banega was a kind of a similar type of player who was an attacking midfielder, but I wouldn't find kind of parallels with those guys because he's a little bit different. But it's last chance saloon for me. This for Erickson. If obviously it doesn't seem like anyone's got the money or the wage budget to buy him or loan him this January. So we have to make the best of it. We have to make it work, and this is last chance saloon for Erickson. He has to make it work tomorrow against Fiorentina. A midfield of Amrabat and Borja Valero. In theory, if it's a two-man midfield, he should have the time and space to spray the ball around. With Sensi next to him, with Vidal doing the dirty work next to him, should be, he should have, in theory, time and space to do his work. So
I would guess actually that Fiorentina are going to press him very hard with Castrovilli, who I think one of the most underrated parts of Castrovilli's game is his defensive ability. He last year I think was in the top 5 in Serie A for successful pressures. He's non-stop action. So I think that giving him a fairly simple brief to disrupt Erickson is it might not happen, but it might also get him away a little bit from the tender ministrations of Arturo Vidal, which is, I think, in Fiorentina's best interests. So I would expect to see Castrovilli specifically really try to put the clamps on him, which means that, to me, Stefano Sensi is probably going to be tracked by Borja Valero, and that's going to be an absolute train wreck. I love the mayor, but I don't think he has the legs to keep up with Sensi for very long. So I think...
Neither does Sensi. I think Sensi have only been on for like 50, 60 minutes, I think. I don't think he has... I think Conte's too scared to play him at the moment. He hasn't played any minutes in the last 2 matches for some reason, which is probably because the pitch was wet or it was raining, so he was too scared.
Fair. The forecast looks beautiful for Florence tomorrow, okay. So there's that. But yeah, I think that, to me, Sensi might end up being the key man there, because I think that he might be afforded a lot more time and space.
Yeah. No, I think he's looked really good the last few times he's played as well, Sensi. So I'm expecting, as I said, these players to step up. Sensi has to impress Conte, because in theory he should be the guy starting at left centre mid for me, because Inter looked the best last season with Sensi, Barella, Brozovic. That was the trio where we looked best with. So hopefully, if he doesn't get injured, he can claim that place back. And I think Vidal as well. I'm not sure if he'll play the 90 minutes, because I think he will probably be starting against Juve, because I don't think he's going to miss that match against his old boys. And we'll see how long Erickson gets given, because Conte loves. I don't think he's been given I don't think he's ever completed 90 minutes whilst he's been at Inter under Conte. So,
really?
Yeah.
That's really something. All right.
Yeah, even when he does, that's the thing. The other guys, you get Vidal, who he'll drop absolute, disaster classes, and not Vecino, Gagliardini, Kolarov. These guys, they might make mistakes, but it seems like with Erickson, it's like, even if he doesn't do anything wrong, he just gets taken off. We don't really understand why. It's just baffling to me. Baffling.
I assume that he just said something about Conte's hairline when he first arrived, and he's never been forgiven. That's all I can come up with.
Yeah, maybe he asked him for the number of his the hair treatment place. Like, I need, because I don't know if you've seen a picture of Erickson. He's getting quite bad up there.
He looks like an extra from Atomic Blonde now or something. One of the East German intelligent. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah. Conte. That's what Conte's done to him.
Oh boy, yeah.
But you never know. It might be redemption night tomorrow, redemption season for Christian Eriksen.
It might be. Fiorentina's a great club to get right against. I could say that for him.
Well, if you want to pay his wages, you're more than welcome to take him on. He probably earns as much as your whole team.
Oh God, don't give Daniele Prade that idea. He loves buying veterans who are washed up and have huge wages. That's his entire transfer strategy. Don't even put that out there in the universe. I'm begging you, please.
If you have his WhatsApp
Please,
number,
Sharma.
you can forward it to me.
Oh boy, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about it in terms of match preview. Let's end it with some match predictions. Honestly, I don't think Inter are going to win. I think we're going to lose this one. I think Fiorentina are got a bit of confidence. I think they're going to take this more seriously. I think you guys are going to win this 2-1.
That I called on the website. I called 2-1 to y'all going the other way. So I'm glad that we're in complete agreement here.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm saying you guys are going to win.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know. Hey, but we got the scoreline. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
No, I think Inter just have too much quality. I think second half when the subs start coming on, I think that Achraf Hakimi running against Cristiano Biraghi or Antonio Barreca is, I mean, I can't even say anything there. All I can do is laugh at it.
We remember the first time he faced against Hakimi was a complete disaster.
Oh, good gracious!
But, yeah, we didn't get to. We remember we hyped that up in the first video. Then Conte for some reason started. I think he started Ashley Young on that side, which was like killed. Half of our preview was talking about Biraghi versus Hakimi, and he just killed that right off.
But then when Hakimi came on, he was superb and beat Biraghi like a drum for the last 20 minutes.
Him and Sanchez linking up.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that.
But yeah, Tito, man, thank you once again for coming on. I appreciate that. We'll see the outcome tomorrow, 2 p.m. UK time kickoff. What's the kickoff time for you guys?
Boy, I think for me it's 6 a.m. because I'm on the west coast of the US, so going to be a nice early before work.
You're gonna watch it?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna wake up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. really to start the coverage and watch Fiorentina get their teeth kicked in again, because that's what life is now. It's good.
Well, I'll look forward to your live tweeting. It's always funny on at Viola Nation on Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah, sure is. Yeah, and violanation.com if you want to check out the website.
Definitely, guys, make sure to check them out. Always good coverage. Even as a non-Viola fan, I always check out their tweets because it's always pretty entertaining. Tito puts a nice spin on things, even when things are not going very good as they are this season.
Yeah, a lot of practice on that at least. So we got that. Anyways, it's been a pleasure, Sharma. Thanks for having me on. Always enjoy talking with you.
Yeah, we'll see you for the next Serie A match. And everyone, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. Make sure to leave your predictions below on the match. Make sure to leave your thoughts on Eriksen as a Regista, your thoughts on Valero coming back. And yeah, we'll see you for my post-match reaction, which hopefully will be as Tito's prediction, not my prediction. And yeah, make sure to subscribe. Ciao everyone, Forza Inter.